are streaming now. Welcome to this week's Teaching Raid live stream event. Broadcasting live from Saralona. This is, well, if you're new to these events, these are events where we take in, newcomers and first-timers to these raids and teach them how they work. So sometimes we're getting people who are very new to DDO. Sometimes we're getting people that have been playing for a while and just maybe haven't done the raids that we're doing on any given week. Or sometimes we have people who've been playing since beta and just avoided the raiding scene for whatever reason. A lot of reasons why people avoid raiding. And so we're trying to show that raids can be smooth and most importantly, a lot of fun. And this is an event that we do weekly through the winter and spring. This is our 4th year doing them. And we actually have about 5 more weeks left after tonight. So things are we're starting on final approach here. And then we'll shut things down at the end of the spring. And hopefully bring them back next winter. And, we're not trying to make these folks expert at these raids. We're just trying to give them, basic level of competency so that they, feel comfortable going into a pug and have a reasonable idea of how the raid works and what they're supposed to be doing. So I'm going to take a few minutes to get the sign-ups in here. I have a few of my guildies here to help out to make sure things are smooth. And the rest of the folks, and we do have a full crew tonight. Had a lot of last-minute sign-ups. This is actually overbooked. So everybody else that's going to be joining is going to be first-timers or people maybe that, we also take in folks that maybe have done the raid, 2 or 3 times maybe, but, still feel like they didn't understand what was going on. There are a lot of raids that, like Von 5, for example, you can run Von 5 a dozen times and still have really no idea what's going on. So we explain all parts of the raid. Okay, I'm going to get the newbies in here. So you got plenty, if you're watching the live stream, you got plenty of time to go grab a drink or whatever it is you like to do. Hey Fizzle, welcome.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome Lubbermer.
Thank you.
Welcome Thaddeus.
Hello. Thank you.
Welcome Marius. Thaddeus, we may be overbooked.
Thanks.
There's one person that I didn't get a confirmation back from, so I'll let you know.
No worries.
Welcome Klept.
Thank you.
Hey Quiara, welcome.
Hello.
Hey Meth, welcome. Alright, we have one more person that I never heard back from. They expressed interest, but I sent them a mail back asking if they, if they were indeed new to, or, and I didn't hear back from them. So I'm just gonna see if I can track that person down. And if not, then get one of my guildies in here. Alright, I don't see him on, but I had a guildie that wanted to come along. Hey, Woodward, thanks for coming.
Hey, everybody.
If that person happens to pop on, then I might have to ask you to excuse yourself, but I don't see him on.
Okay.
Appreciate you being flexible and being here to help out.
Of course.
Okay, guys, go ahead and gather in the marketplace. I want to welcome everybody. We have, I think, some newcomers to our events, which is really cool. So I want to know, like, there are quite a few people here that have been to our teaching raids before, but who here has never attended one of our teaching raid events before? Hey, Rodrigo and Soruzen.
Fuzel has not been your teaching rate, although I've been in your Friday night ones.
Briasma has not.
Well, I'm really happy to have some first-timers to our event, so extra special welcome to you guys. These teaching raid events that we do, it's a learning environment. We're going to be explaining, as much of the raid as we can. At any point, if you want more explanation, you're lost, you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing, you can chime in anytime with questions, especially if you're lost. Don't hesitate to interrupt me if you're lost and need somebody to come get you or something. And so, for those of you, if this is your first time, this is something we've been doing these for 4 years. We do them every week through the winter and spring, different raid each week, and we got about 5 weeks left of the event. So if you have a good time tonight, I hope you'll consider joining us for future events. And I always post details every week in the Solana forum which raids we're doing. So go ahead and step into the subterrain, and we're going to do the heroic raid first. And I want us to go to the raid together. So let's just wait right here until everybody gets in. Now I want to know, like, who here has never done heroic Hound of Xoriat before? Who's never done any of the Hound of Xoriats before? Heroic or legendary?
I have not.
I have not.
And then I want to know who, like, if you've done it, like, because I know there's some people that, done it once or twice, so who here has done it, like, once or twice? And I also want to know, the folks that are...
Yeah, I've done it a couple times.
The folks that are watching the live stream, there's always people, watching along that are learning, so I want to know if there's anybody watching the live stream that has never done Hound of Xoriat. Or if you've only done it once or twice and still not sure what's going on. Also want to make sure that everybody knows that we are live streaming this event. Right? We just have 9 people watching right now, and there probably won't be more than about 20 or 30. We get folks from other servers that are new to these raids and are learning right along with us, so it's pretty cool. And you can always refer back to the video on my YouTube channel if you want to, refresher of what we went over, because there's usually a lot of information we go over. We're trying not to make it too overwhelming, but sometimes it's hard to avoid when you're learning something new like a raid. Okay, before we start heading to heroic Hound of Xoriat, I want to know next if there's anybody who's never been in the subterrain or has very, very little experience being down here.
Never stepped in. There once.
I would say a
Wow.
low amount of experience, but I've been here a couple times.
So two people that have never stepped foot in here, and three people that have very little experience. Okay, that's cool. We have when we did this in the spring, we had a person that had never been down here, so that's awesome. So I will be including. There's information that's good to know when you're navigating around the subterranean. So I'll be covering some of that stuff. And on our way to Hound of Xoriat, we're going to take a little bit of a scenic detour. It should take like 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops, to see an area of the game that even a lot of longtime players have never seen. It's kind of a neat like back area of the subterranean. So let's go ahead and get some buffs. And make sure you have Feather Fall on. If anybody watching the live stream has any questions about any part of what we're doing tonight, I'm watching the chat. So, my attention's focused on the folks here in the raid, but I'm also be watching the chat and answering questions when I can. Alright, let's do it. So we are going to jump out and to the right. And we're going to feather fall down over here. Now when you're doing this with a group, invariably, except this time it didn't happen, come on back this way. I guess we can kill this living meteor swarm. Lots of living spells in here. Invariably someone falls. So I just want to show you, if you do fall, don't panic and get, run around and you could just run right back up. It's no big deal. So come on down, everybody come on down. You can see some of the living spells that are down here. And I want to show you to look for these, see how there's like a bunch of runes on the ground? You'll notice that when you run over them, it does like a burst. That's like an AoE debuff. So you generally want to avoid any runes that you see on the ground. Also, even if they're on the wall, floating in the air, and also any light that's shining through the ground, through a wall, from the ceiling, you want to avoid runes and light, because they all have that AoE debuff. Let's go up the ramp here. So we go up this next ramp. There's a rune on the wall here. I'll just show you. You get too close to it, it does that burst debuff. Not a big deal, but good to be aware of. The subterranean can be a really, really confusing area when you're new to it. And we're going to now turn to the east. There's a lever here that'll be locked until you kill these two giant skellies. This light here shining through the floor is an example of light you generally want to avoid. Again, it's not a big deal, but I just want you to be aware.
Thank you.
We're going to turn right at the end of the hall here. If you see any treasure bags down here, pick them up. They're always going to be planar shards. And you can use planar shards to buy, to trade to, there's a guy right there in the center of the market. And most significantly, for 150 planar shards, you can get a large bag of your choice, like a collectibles bag or coin gem bag or an ingredients bag. And I'm just gonna hit this rune behind us because there's a chance it could spawn a rare. But it's just trash mobs this time. And we're gonna jump out and around. But here's a spot where, you know, it's another spot where like invariably somebody falls. So I want to show you, like, you know, people fall down there when they're new and they get lost. And oh, here's a treasure bag. But it's a really small area down there, so everybody go ahead and jump down. And I just want to show you around down here real quick. Show you that you can get right back up by taking a ramp. Some trash mobs down here. A couple more treasure bags. You know, if you need a large bag too, I mean, you can come down here and do Slayers and pick up 150 probably in a couple hours. And that's the door we just came from. Now, if we were going to the other raid down here, which is Vision of Destruction, we'd sort of curve over here to the right and go across this bridge. But we're not going to go that way. We're going to go over here into the portal that spawns from this rune. There's be some trash mobs and a beholder. And I'm going to hit this rune here too because it's another chance to spawn a rare. Just trash mobs. Treasure bag. And we're going to continue to the east. There are two different Slayer zones down here, the Subterrain East and the Subterrain Central. You can see from the quest box in the upper right hand corner, we're in the Subterrain Central right now. And we're going to be going to the Subterrain East in this next room. Right through this portal. And this is a separate instance, so we'll, well, there's so many beholders, there's not really a lot of value in buffing. But we will lose the buffs that we had from the previous instance. Because we're stepping into a new dungeon. So we're going to do a big cavern here, and it's the first objective to open the way to the raid. It's just a couple of runes that we have to find and activate. And you can actually, if you have a button that you use to select non-combat targetables, like tab or, you know, backspace or Q and E, whatever it is that you use, you know, you can actually see them through the walls. There's a rune right there. They're in random locations. So they can be just about anywhere down here. I think it might be an intelligence room, but it's not very high high check. And here's the other one just up ahead to the right. There can be a rare over here, which is up. The Fire Fiend of Madness. back here. Okay, we got the 2 runes, and that opens up the first gate, or brings down the first barrier, which is right here. And now we're going to go up and wind around, and we're going to go, if you look up in this, actually come back out into this cavern real quick. If you look up, you'll see there are walkways up there. We're going to be going right up there. So if you're up there and you fall, you're just going to fall right down here. When the level cap was 20, this was a pretty intense Slayer zone, but you know, not so much anymore. You bring your 30s down here. And our next objective to clear the way is 2 more runes that we need to find, which are just up ahead a bit, also in random locations. You can look down over the edge of these walkways that we're on and see that, you know, that's where we were before. It's down below. So here's one of the runes right up here to the left. And here's the other one up here. Now the raid, and when we get the second rune, it'll open up this barrier over here where I am, up this ramp. And the raid is that way. But our little scenic detour is over here, up this first ramp. Look at this rune here. And this is a section called the Deep Tunnels. If you click on the portal, you can see it says to the Deep Tunnels. And this is an area, you know, off the beaten path. There aren't, you know, there are no raids over here. There's no content, no named loot. So it's an area that most people never go to. You don't need to go over here. So like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of like even longtime DDO players that have never been down here. And this is a really neat section. There's like a Beholder Council. There's Zul, the son of Zizi, which Zizi is the raid boss for Hound of Xoriat. And there's a raid out here called the son of Zizi. And then there's the Frost Fiend of Madness. So we're going to explore this area for a few minutes. And then we'll go back to the raid. It's going to be the Rackhounds, Beholders, and Renders down here. Hey Mark, welcome. Grats on your pull. Okay, right here, it's kind of hard to see, but basically right under us, there's a cave opening that's largely obscured by the acid. We're actually going to swim through there, and there's a ramp on the other side, so I want us to swim through there, but just get onto the ramp and don't go beyond that, because I don't want us to aggro the Beholder Council. I want everybody to see it before we obliterate them. You can come up just, oh, and the rare is up. That is cool. This guy is uber rare. So if you look to the west, you'll see there's a whole room full of beholders over there. It's an explorer called the Beholder Council, and the rare beholder is up. So that's a rare that most people have never seen. So I'm really glad I saw. It's really cool. Okay, we're all here. Go ahead, guys. Kill some beholders. awesome that we got him up for the live stream. And you got, I think there's 3 chests here. There's at least 1 chest here, even if the rare's not up, and the piles of gold as well. Alright, I don't think we need to shrine, and that portal would just take us to another area of the deep tunnels. But we're going to go right back out the way we came in. If anybody needs jump, because we had to like jump up a ledge to get out, let me know. If you have lower hit points, it can be tricky to swim through this. Alright, right this way. We're going to go to the south. I think this area looks really cool. Some nice lighting effects and very colorful crystals and mushrooms. Over here in the back, you'll see there's like a frozen wall, and when you approach it, here's where this is where the Frost Fiend of Madness can spawn. A's up, sweet. Up 2 for 2. The rares down here don't have a good spawn rate, so 2 for 2 is pretty good. And we got one more room we're gonna check, which is out the way we came and then to the north. And this is where Zithul, the son of Zizi, can be. And if you examine this portal here, you'll see it says, to the Den of Beasts. And this is just a little peanut-shaped hall. And Zithul, if he's up, will be back here. Nope. Okay, right out the way we came. And we're going to go through a portal, and it seems like it should take us right where we came in, but it doesn't. The portals down here in the subterranean, you know, are one of the things that makes it confusing to get around. So we're actually going to go back to the subterranean central in that first instance, in the room where we entered the subterranean east from. There was like a beholder, mind flare, and then we're going to turn right back around and go through the portal again to go back to the subterranean east. Alright. So now we're going to go to that big cavern where we had to get the runes, but that's already done. So we're just going to keep moving to the north. Oops. Who on the live stream has never been to that deep tunnels area and seen the rare beholder? Or the beholder council, period. When we came in here the first time, we went to the left. We're just going to go to the right now. And I just want you to see that it just forms a loop. You can go either way, and the runes that we had found can be over here as well. Now we're going to go up this ramp. We went up the other ramp just beyond this when we went to the deep tunnels, but now we're going to go this way, which leads to the raid. There can be a rare up back here, but it doesn't look like he's up. I think there can be a rare there, maybe not.
Yes, there's a rare that can spawn there.
Oh, okay, cool. It's one of the renders, right?
Yes.
Probably not really any need to shrine. Go ahead and go through the portal, and there's 3 rooms to the north, south, and west that need to be cleared out in order to open up the portal to go to the raid. There's some renders and a beholder in each direction. No treasure bags. Okay, go ahead and go through the portal. If you look up, by the way, before you go into the portal that we dropped from is in the ceiling. But we're going to go through the portal on the sidewall. And then at the end of this hall is the entrance to the raid. And there's Chartrax, the beholder, and you can talk to him. He says some funny things. But you don't have to talk to him. He doesn't grant the raid or anything like that. And speaking of granting the raid, I don't even think I picked it up. So can somebody share it, please? Otherwise, I'm going to have to run all the way back. Oh, it says I already have it. Okay, apparently I prepared ahead of time and forgot. Thank you. Alright, so I have a link that I want to share with you guys. Because it has a visual aid that I'm going to be referring to to help us understand how this is going to work. And that's just the link in the Sarlona forums to the teaching rate details. So if you already have, just go to the Sarlona forums and click on, or you can, copy and paste the link. If you don't know how to copy and paste the link, it's the same as in any Windows application. You just highlight it, Control-C to copy, and then you go into your browser and Control-V to paste it. Like I said, you can just go to the Sarlona forum, bring that up. So if you have the ability to bring up that graphic and look at it while I'm talking about it, that's great. I'll give you a minute to pull that up. If you don't, no big deal, don't stress, it's all good. Or if you can bring it up on your phone or something, or your pad, whatever. So take a minute to bring that up for those of you who can. And for the live streamers. I'm going to put that link in. So for those of you watching the live stream, if you click on that link, and you're going to want to scroll down to the final entry of that, by the way. That's going to show you like a map of the dungeon, of the raid, and the pathing that we're going to have people take. Okay, everybody that can bring the graphic up, have that graphic up. Anybody not finding it? And like I said, if you can't pull that up while you're playing the game, no worries. It's just but take a look at it later. You know, it'll be in the Starlona forum. You know, it'll help to sort of make sense of things. We're going to be using a method for this raid that we call the hall tanking method. And there are different methods for doing this raid. And by the way, this is the heroic Hound of Xoriat. And the legendary Hound of Xoriat, you don't have to, this is not the entrance for legendary. Legendary entrance is just right there next to where we came into the subterrain. So you don't have to run through all this rigmarole to get to the legendary instance. It's just right there in the marketplace. But the mechanics for both of these raids are the same, and so we're going to be doing both of them. They are distinct. So we're going to do this, you'll get your favor, and then we're going to go do the legendary. So we're going to be using the heroic as a teaching instance. We're going to show you how the raid works here, and then we're going to recall out and go do the legendary raid and apply what we learned here. I believe there's at least one person here that's not going to be able to join us for the legendary because they are not of appropriate level, perhaps. Yeah, we have an 18 in here, for example. So, but the important point is that both raids are mechanically identical. The way that you do them is the same. Everything is the same about the raids. There's nothing special in the legendary. It's just that everything has, you know, a lot more hit points and hits harder. So if you have the graphic up, you can see that it says the hall tanking method is a simpler and more efficient, more secure variation of what's called the H method or the collapse method. And that method is distinguished from what's called the circle method or the O method. And once we complete the heroic instance and then we have just sort of a free dungeon to run around in, I'm going to explain to you like the different methods and how they work and what they're supposed to do and why people do the different methods. But they're all going to accomplish the same thing. There's the raid boss, which is ZZ, and she's a giant Thorac Hound, and she's invulnerable to normal damage types. We won't be able to damage her at first. The only way to damage her is she's going to have like her puppies there, and we're going to be able to charm her puppies and have her puppies attack her, and her puppies can damage her. And once the puppies damage her down to like 25% health or a third health, then we'll get a DM message saying that she's vulnerable to normal attacks, and then we'll just pounce on her and kill her, and it'll be over. But until we get to that point, the object is to get those puppies charmed and to protect that whole thing, and to keep like trash away from ZZ and the puppies. Like, we want the puppies to be attacking ZZ uninterrupted. And there's going to be renders, there's going to be mind flayers, there's going to be beholders that can break the charms, and that's one of the things that goes wrong with this raid, is that if beholders get near the charmed puppies and break the charms, then things go to hell real quick. Now this raid, someone once described this raid as the easiest raid you'll ever fail. And I loved that. You know, looking back, it's just the perfect way to describe this. And sometimes I liken Mark of Death, if you've done that, to this raid, in that that raid can be over in 5 minutes, and it can seem ridiculously smooth and effortless. But if it's not organized and people don't know what they're doing, that raid can be a complete disaster and can take forever. This is the same way. Like, if it goes according to plan, it's going to be over in 5 to 10 minutes, and it'll seem super smooth and and effortless. But if this raid isn't organized and people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's a giant mess and a huge headache. So I'm going to try to explain to you how we do this, and like I said, once we're done, once we get a completion, we're going to stay in the instance and take it just a few minutes to explain the differences between what we're going to show you and the way that some other groups do it. Because you'll probably, the reality is, you'll probably never see this method used again. But all methods pretty much are going to use, you got to charm the dogs. And by the way, you got to charm the dogs to beat down ZZ and protect them, and then, once ZZ becomes vulnerable, you pounce on her. The charming of the puppies is not like using Charm Monster or Suggestion or something. It's a unique mechanic to this raid. And the way that you charm them is by using these Xoriat control stones that drop from mind flares in the corner of the zone. And so we're going to have teams that are like going out to kill the mind flares and grabbing the soul stones. And then, after you do that and you collect the soul stones, we're going to like take our final positions to protect ZZ. So if you have the graphic up, the way it's going to work is there's going to be a tank that's going to run into the center and grab ZZ and her puppies and drag ZZ over to the center of the East Hall. If you don't have the graphic up, basically the raid looks like basically like a big square or rectangle with a cross going through it. And so the tank's going to go in and grab ZZ, and then there's going to be a left and right team, and I'm going to assign everybody to an east and west team, or a left and right team. And the east and west teams will, while the tank is running in the center and grabbing ZZ and getting her in position, the east and west teams will go and run to the northeast and northwest corners accordingly. And there's a mind flare there. You'll kill the mind flare, you'll grab the soul stone, and then you'll turn right back around and go south. And you'll go all the way down to the southeast or southwest corner of that square or rectangle. And there'll be a mind flare there, and you'll grab the control stone that drops from the mind flare. And the first time you'll be passing that second mind flare that has the second control stone, you will have passed that corner on your way to the first mind flare, but that second mind flare won't have spawned yet. So that's where you'll be passing that first south corner first, going to the north corner, and then turning back around and go south and get the second mind flare and second control stone. After you've killed the second mind flare and grab the second control stone, then both teams will go back north. The east team will park at the end of the east hall, like out in the outer ring, in front of a portal that looks just like this portal in front of us. And there'll be trash mobs that spawn from that portal. There'll also be trash mobs that come from the halls too. You're just going to park right there at the end of the hall and fight whatever comes to you. You don't leave your post. For the rest of the raid, you'll be there until ZZ becomes vulnerable. And the west team, after they get this second mind flare and control stone, they're going to go back north and then go to the center of the rectangle. Remember I said there's like a cross going through it? So that's that number 3 position, if you're looking at the graphic. And you're just going to guard the center. And that's going to be a smaller group. You guys that are on that west team that are going to be guarding the center, there's going to be like 4 of you there. And you're only going to fight stuff if it comes to you, which will be very little. You're not going to range stuff in. You're not going to pull stuff into you. You're only going to fight it if it comes to you, but you'll stay in the center, not run out to meet it, because if you run out, stuff could come into the center and run right by you. And so you have a group in the center, a group at the end of the east hall, and ZZ's in the middle of the east hall. And so you have a group on each side of that, stopping any trash from getting to ZZ. Remember, at this point in the raid, our goal is to protect ZZ and her puppies and have that whole fight be undisturbed so the puppies can do their thing and beat down ZZ. We're going to have a person assigned to do the charming, and the way that works is you take those control stones and you put them in your hotbar. You drag them from your inventory into your hotbar, and then you target the puppies, and you just click on the control stones on your hotbar, and it charms them. It's an auto charm. It's no fail, and it's just timed. I believe it's 2.5 minutes. And the only thing that can screw that up is, like, you know, if you're not facing, for those of you who are spellcasters, you know, you sometimes, you know, if you're not facing your target, the spell can fail. So you can have that same issue. So, you know, you want to make sure you're facing the puppy, that you're not right in its face, that you're back a little bit, so there's some distance, so you don't fail because you're not perfectly facing the puppy. And, you know, like I said, if beholders are, some of the trash mobs are beholders, and beholders have anti-magic aura. And if beholders get near those puppies and break the charms, well, you know, we don't really have unlimited control stones, so that can make things, you know, be messy. But actually, more mind flayers will spawn later in the raid. So if you know, if something went wrong, we can go get more control stones. But it just means we're going to be in there longer, more opportunity for things to go wrong. The person, or actually anybody really, but typically the person that's charming the puppies, you want that person to be someone who can buff the dogs too. So sometimes, like a bard, for example, bards can play songs for the puppies. You can haste the puppies once they're charmed. You can get bull strength, bear's endurance. If you have if you had druid past lives, if you have augment summoning, if you have harper leadership from the harper tree, all these things will make the dogs tougher. And if it's the druid that's doing the charming, then they can cast, you know, like pact strength on the dogs too, even give them like +6 strength. So the more buffs you can give the dogs, the better. Primal Scream. If you have Consecration, like, you know, if you have every tier of it, you know, you have I think it's the final tier. It makes anybody in that aura do extra damage. I can't remember what it's called. Called Crusade, and it looks like somebody had it. So that's awesome. But you want to make sure that you didn't do that on the dogs until they were charmed, because the dogs could be damaged by us before that, and you don't want to kill the dogs. That's another really important thing. You don't want to kill the dogs. And because this is a heroic raid, and they're wafer thin by today's standards, those dogs can die pretty quickly. So while the dogs are charmed and attacking ZZ, ZZ may be attacking them back. And she does, like, well, she could take them down pretty quick and heroic, and so you got to keep the dogs healed. She also does this bee breath. And if you get the bee breath, then it's kind of like you're standing in a, what's that spell that, like, kind of blinds you? Like not fairy fire. Maybe it is fairy fire.
Glitter dust.
Glitter dust, that's the one, yeah. When you get the bees, it's almost like you're in glitter dust. And the only way to get rid of the bees, other than dying, or letting them time out, which you get them for like a minute, is to stand in a globe of invulnerability. So that can be a nice utility spell to have in here. If somebody gets the bees, you can put one of those up. There's one now. So the nutshell version, because I know some of you are at overload right now. The nutshell version, we're going to have an east and west team and a tank. The tank's going to run in and grab ZZ and the puppies. The east and west teams are going to run to the north corners, kill the mind flare, grab the control stone. You're going to turn around, go south to the south corners, kill the mind flare, grab this control stones, then you're going to go back north. The east team will park at the end of the east hall. The west team will park in the center of the zone. You'll guard those zones until ZZ becomes vulnerable. Any questions before I start assigning? Good question. It's a single target charm. And so we're going to start, there are 3 puppies, and we're going to have 4 control stones to start. And so what we're going to do is we're going to charm 2 of the puppies, and then kill off a 3rd one, and then have like 2 rounds of charming both dogs. If you have really good buffs, you can charm 3, and then they can take down ZZ in 1 round of charming. Like,
We do have really good charms.
we do. So, I don't know if those charms would be good enough to do this on Heroic Elite, though. Probably. Let's just do 2 and 2 to be safe. I know that, like, on Legendary Hard, we can do it in 1 round. We can charm 3, and then just in 2.5 minutes, it's over. The DJ here is actually set up for charming these dogs. Okay, I'm going to type in teams. Yep, 1 person collects the stones on each side, and I'll indicate who that's going to be. Oh, it's not just the first few times, Lovemer. Like, you're still going to join pugs that are just going to be unorganized and a mess. Like I said, this is, the easiest raid you'll ever wipe. And so if it's not organized, you got people running around, people dragging trash over to ZZ, and, like, even if it's not beholders, even if it's just like regular trash, it can start attacking the puppies, killing the puppies off, or just distracting the puppies so that the puppies aggro on the trash mobs instead of ZZ, which, since these are timed charms, if the dogs spend 30 seconds attacking trash, well, that's 30 seconds they weren't damaging ZZ. And remember, the puppies are the only ones that can damage ZZ at first. I do also want to say that there is a way to cheese the raid that some people are doing right now, which we're not going to talk about. We always teach legitimate methods for doing the raid. But basically, if you go into a pug and it looks like all they're doing is attacking ZZ right away and killing her without any charming, there's a little bit more to that. So, I'm not going to say anything more than that. I'm just letting you know that through the history of this raid, which has been around for like 10 years, there have been various ways to cheese it. And there's at least one way that people are doing now. We're going to show you the legit way that will always work, and talk about the variations of that. Oops, you're in both groups. Can you be in 2 places at once? We're really counting on you, Thaddeus.
I could stand in the middle with you and kind of go each way.
Okay, so the West team is a smaller team, and you know, that's the team that's going to end up in the center, and not very much trash is going to come into the center. Remember, you're not going to range it in. You're just only going to fight stuff if it comes to you. And so it can be a smaller group. There's going to be a lot more trash that's running around in the outer ring and running into the east group, which is part of the end of the east hall. So that's why that group is bigger. So the West team is going to be DJ, who's going to grab the stones and do the charming. So nobody should ever grab the stones unless they're assigned to. This is another thing that gets screwed up in pugs, is that people just, they see something drop on the floor and they just pick it up because they think, oh, it's a treasure bag or, you know, a gem or something that they want. But it's, you know, something, like I said, you know, you need this to charm the dogs. And so if you get people are new to it, they just pick something up because they saw it and they don't realize what they picked up, and then you have the leader screaming over Mike like, who has the damn control stones, and you spend 5 minutes doing that, you know, then that can lead to a really frustrating experience. So that's another thing that goes wrong in pugs, is people pick up the control stones that aren't supposed to. So never pick those up unless you're assigned to that job. So DJ is going to go west. He's going to grab the stones and do the charming on that side, along with Lubomir and Thaddeus and Lemuria will also be going west. The east team is going to be Treadway, who's going to grab the stones, and he'll pass them to DJ once you guys are done doing your thing on the east side. Fuzol, Riazmaj, Klept, Kiara, Meth, and Wooter, and then I'll be the tank. Go ahead and step in, don't move. Can't remember if I have any guards. Be very careful not to like accidentally shoot, you know, like shoot your bow or, you know, your repeater into the center, because if you do that you can aggro those mobs and they'll come over. But if you look straight ahead, you'll see there's ZZ and her 3 puppies. Turn off my aura. Ooh, I hope I don't have any guards that I'm not thinking about. Those dogs would die quick. Okay, we're all in. So once we start, I'll go to the center and I'll grab ZZ, and then I just take them to the right, down the hall to the right. And I'm just going to hang out in the middle of the hall. Oh yeah, that's a good question. So Intimidate for Heroic here was, I think it's something like 60 for Elite. For Legendary, it's like 125 on Epic Elite, but it's a lot less on Normal and Hard. So Intimidate's really good to have in here because sometimes you need to reposition ZZ, and if she's running all around, I mean, ZZ is like you know, she'll just bulldoze right over people, and that can make things get really messy. So it's really good to have an Intimidate tank, but not all groups are going to do that. You can actually have the puppies tank ZZ, but nonetheless, you know, you still, like, it's a good idea to be able to move ZZ around to where you want her to be. Now, for the first like year and a half this raid was around, at least when it went Legendary, the dogs were a little bit buggy and didn't want to face ZZ and didn't want to damage her. That seems to have been fixed just in the last month or so. That seems to have been fixed. So now when the dogs are charmed, they seem to face her really well, which makes, you know, if people are charming the dogs and using the dogs to tank ZZ, that's going to be a more effective strategy than it was for the first year and a half or so. This raid went Legendary, and you could do, I guess that's probably a more effective strategy in Legendary versus Heroic, because in Heroic you really, you know, another reason why you'd really want to Intimidate tank is because you want the tank to have ZZ's aggro, as opposed to ZZ attacking her puppies. Especially in the Heroic instance, she could take down her own puppies really quickly. But in Legendary, her puppies have like a shit-zillion hit points, and so they're not going to typically die by accident. But here, you know, it's a little bit more critical to have heals on them and stuff. So again, the West team is going to be DJ, Lovemar, Thaddeus, and Lemuria. You're going to run to the left. You're going to go to the north corner, kill the Mind Flare, grab this control stone, turn south. All the way to the south corner. You're going to kill the Mind Flare, grab the control stone, then you're going to turn back around and go north again and cut into the center, and the West team will end up right where ZZ is right now, and you'll guard the center. The East team will go to the right. You'll go to the north corner, the northeast corner. You'll kill the Mind Flare, grab the control stone. You'll turn around and go south. You'll kill the Mind Flare and grab the control stone. That, if you look to the right now, you can see you can see down at the end of the hall there where it turns. That's where the second Mind Flare is going to be. You'll kill that Mind Flare, grab the control stone, then you'll turn around and go north again, and you'll park yourselves at the end of the east hall, right in front of the portal. Lastly, the thing that's tempting for people who are new to this is to watch what's going on with the ZZ, because they're very interested in seeing like what's going on in there. But it's really important for you guys to not watch that, to watch for trash, because we don't want stuff to get by you. But because you're learning, you know, I want you guys to see as much as possible. And it's just heroic, so the High Lords that are here can pretty much cover the job that needs to be done. These trash mobs are going to die really easily. Any questions before we start? If you're not sure where you're supposed to be, you know, just follow follow the High Lord that's in your group. So the West team, DJ and Lemuria are the High Lords. Follow them. The East team, Treadway and Wooter are the High Lords. Follow them. The ones with the purple names over their head. Any questions? Okay, East-West teams go. West team goes left, East team goes right. So those of you watching the live stream, maybe a little bit further, maybe like right here-ish. So the West team will park themselves right there. The East teams will park themselves out at the end of the East Hall. I see them running by.
I got 2 stones.
Okay, great. Remember, you're just charming 2 dogs. We're gonna kill the 3rd dog off, and I'll take care of that.
Two dogs charmed.
Fazol, I want you to come here and keep these dogs healed, please. I've got the bees right now, so I can't cast healing spells. Stay away from ZZ and watch the dog's health. Okay, so Thaddeus, I want you to be out in the center. If you're sort of backed up into the East Hall a little bit, what can happen is if trash mobs come in and you back them up into the East Hall, then you know they can start aggroing on this stuff, and we don't want that to happen. And the people that are out at the end of the East Hall, the East team, you guys are exactly where you're supposed to be. If you're new, go ahead and look at what's going on in here. I want you to see that, you know, I've got ZZ's attention while the 2 dogs are beating up on her. Do you got all your buffs on the puppies? DJ?
All the buffs I can do, yeah.
Okay, great. And did you get your 3rd and 4th control stones?
And I've got the other 2 stones. Yep.
Great. So if you're new, examine the puppies. I want you to see that you can see the Command of Xoriat buff. That's the charm. It looks like the symbol for charm monster, and you can see it's just timed. And so the person who's assigned to charming the puppies can actually watch for that, and will know exactly when they're going to come off charm, so they can recharm them right away. And you can see all the different buffs that are on the puppies too when you examine them. They didn't have bull strength, so I'll give them that. Fizzle, I don't want you to do that damaging aura anymore, because once they come off charm, that would kill them instantly. So once that time's out, don't do that again. You can do your regular like healing aura, but don't do the consecration, okay?
Sure.
We got 10 seconds on the first charm breaking. ZZ's at 50% health. Both dogs recharmed. Great.
Recharmed.
Scott's
Do
pretty
they
good.
lose their buffs when they get uncharmed?
Nope. Yeah, you can go ahead and do your consecration now if it has the damaging aura. See how she has the overrun?
Noted.
Okay, I want the High Lords to stay in their positions, but everybody else, make sure you don't have the aggro of anything. And if you don't have the aggro of anything, you can come out here and like get in front of ZZ if you want and like experience what the bee breath is like. Actually, she's about to blow. But if you want to go ahead and get in front of her, maybe she'll breathe on you and you'll get some bees and you'll see what that's like, so that when you're in a pug and it happens to you, you don't start panicking, wondering what is happening. Alright, ZZ's vulnerable. Go ahead and beat up on her. And that is Heroic Hound of Xoriat. Nice and smooth and easy. That went exactly the way that it was supposed to. That was textbook. And we're going to be, for those of you that are staying in the Legendary, we're going to be doing that exact same thing. And we're not, no new explanation is necessary. We're just going to go out and do exactly what we just did here. But possibility for different loot. Once you've looted, don't recall out, because I want to take a minute to explain to you the other methods. Yeah, and no run. So we'll be doing the Legendary thing for 5-10 minutes and then we'll be done. Tumbleweed. Both the shields dropped. Those were like the best shields in the game when the level cap was 20. Those were so sought after. It's sad that they're kind of junk now. The hand wraps that come out of here are still really cool. The Thorac wraps, and then there's a rune arm, I think. The hand wraps are level 20, and they have like level 18. They have a Phantasmal Killer proc. You can make a really cool collar for your wolf or your Iron Defender out of it. Nobody wants Tumbleweed? I guess it's not very good by today's standards. Not bad, but a lot better. Okay, don't recall out.
Is the other that you really want the champion one? Is the other one up for roll?
Levix Defender. Cool, nice. Okay, so the other methods, the traditional collapse method, the way that would work is it would start out exactly the way what we just did, where you go to the northeast corner, or the north corners, and then the south corners, and then you go back north, except in the traditional collapse method, or H method, and the only reason it's called the H method is because the path that you form just forms an H. H method, collapse method, they're the same thing. ZZ would be tanked right here, where we are right now, and in the traditional collapse method, what you would have is like 2 people here. So let's go ahead and like Lubamer come over here and Meth come over here. Okay, and then just like stay right here and face the outside. Okay, stay right there. And then I want 2 more people in this north hall. Fazol, come over here. And Riaz, come over here. Actually, Fazol, stay in the center. And so Lemuria and Riaz will stay here. And let's get 2 more people over here. Let's get like DJ and okay, Thaddeus and Kira, that's great. Stay right here. And then Treadway and Klept come over here in the south. And so this is the way the traditional method would be lined up. After you were done getting the control stones and stuff, you would have like 2 people sort of maybe like a third of the way down each hall facing the outside. And if anything started to come into the center, you would like run out and fight it and then retake your position. But you wouldn't like range stuff in. And when it works the way that it's supposed to, the trash just keeps running around the outside and never even aggroes on you. But invariably some of it's going to wander in. Where this can go wrong is if people start backing up and pull a beholder into the center, and it breaks the charms. Also, if you have weak spots where like maybe you have some squishy people in one of the halls and trash busts through that, then it gets to the center and starts screwing things up. So the reason why I think the hall tanking method is superior to this method is because this is harder to coordinate. Trying to get exactly two people at each of the halls and hold those positions is harder to coordinate, and you only have 2 people holding 4 different positions, whereas the hall tanking method we had bigger teams and only 2 positions to defend. There's only 2 defensive points in the hall tanking method, each end of the east hall, as opposed to 4 positions that we have to defend in this method. So the hall tanking method is a lot more secure, and it's also easier to coordinate than this method. Now the other method is called the circle method, which is the most common pug method, but it is the least secure method. I want everybody to go back to the south center where we came in at. And the way that the circle method would work, and like I said, this is going to be the most common pug method, is that you'd send your tank and maybe like your healer into the center, and everybody else would run in a big circle. And you might have, sometimes they'll do 2 teams and you'll have them go opposite ways. Sometimes they'll just have like one person, like a fast runner, like a monk, to just run one way while everybody else runs the other way. And when the big group sees any trash, they kill it, and the single person who's running opposite is just pulling trash to the team. So let's just run in a big circle here. I'll talk about it. We just run to the left, everybody run to the west. And so while the tank is in the center, everybody's just making a big circle. And that's all that this team is doing for the rest of the raid. And anytime you see trash out here, you're just killing it. And there's, like I said, there's one person running the loop in the opposite direction, and they would just gather up trash and pull it to the party. The problem with this method is that it is the least secure method. It's very, very easy for trash to wander into the center, and when trash wanders into the center, it can really screw things up. So to compensate for that, some people using this method might put like 1 or 2 killers in the middle to watch for trash. And so like I said, all you're going to do in the circle method is just keep running in circles for the entire raid. There'll be one person assigned to grab the control stones, and then they'll go in once you get them all and do the charming, while everybody else just keeps running in a big circle. So the benefit of the circle method is very easy to coordinate, but the drawback is that it is the least secure method because it leaves big gaps. You know, these halls are just totally open. You know, if the party runs by, and 3 seconds after the party runs by, you know, mobs spawn out of these portals and go into the center, then that can start causing problems. So that's the nutshell version of the circle method and the traditional collapse method, and what we taught you was the hall tanking method. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we've gone over so far? Why the east hall for the tank in the hall tanking method that we did? Because that's the longest hall. And so if you have ZZ and her puppies in the center of the East Hall, there's some distance between those outer teams. Whereas you can see like this hall that's right here in front of us, this is a very short hall. Come on back into the center and take a look. In the East Hall, which is where I'm going down right now, you can see this is a much longer hall than the others. So you get a big, the idea is so there's more space, so that if if there's beholders at the end of either end of this hall, their anti-magic aura isn't so big that it would break the charms. That makes sense. I can't emphasize enough that this raid can fail so easily. And in fact, the only teaching raid we ever failed was a Hound of Xoriat. We've been doing this 4 years, and the only time we ever failed one was a Hound of Xoriat. And so we used to teach the we used to teach the traditional collapse method, and all that happened was that there were 2 people here, and they backed up a little bit too much, and the beholders got into the center and started breaking charms, and then things got out of hand, and I can't remember if we wiped or we just said let's just get out and start over because it was too messed up. It's a really easy raid to fail, but if it goes right, it's over in like 5 minutes. Go ahead and recall out. And, if you need to ship buff, if you need to bio, you need to grab a drink, take a few minutes to do that. And we'll get the legendary raid started in just a few minutes. Hey, Dallas, how are you? Don't forget to turn it in. And I think it's Kiara. I think you're level 18, so won't be able to stay. So thank you for coming. And I hope everybody else is staying for legendary. Like I said, it won't take us long at all to do the legendary. But we're gonna actually be switching roles here. DJ is gonna grab his tank, and I'm gonna grab my charmer. Treadway, can I give you the star?
Yeah, sure can.
I'll be right back. Does anybody watching the live stream have any questions about how the hall tanking method works or any of the other Hound of Xoriat methods? I'm gonna grab my bard for this and give the puppies bard buffs. Yeah, that's a good point, Darkchild, is that's another problem with the circle method or the O method, is that the group can get really spread out, and if they're starting to fight multiple, if they get too spread out, you get the tail end of the group is fighting mobs that spawned way back there while everybody else is moving ahead, and then if it's just a couple people, maybe they're squishy, they start dying, people get spread out. That's another problem. That outer kill squad can start thinning out. Thank you.
Yep.
This tune actually has Harper Leadership, which is going to give +4 to Hireling Summon and Charmed Creatures to the puppies in here. And I picked that up just for this raid. So we do run the Legendary in Guild regularly, so I'd like to have that. And this tune is just he's a buffer and a healer, basically, that I run when we need like a raid healer. Spell Singer Bard. Okay, the entrance to Legendary Hound of Xoriat is right here where my fancy looking bard is jumping up and down. And I'm going to see if I can get a Guildian to fill up this last spot to help out. And we're just going to do the legendary one on hard. So if you need to pause your bravery bonus, go ahead and do that. Oh, that's funny. She's in the live stream. You know, watch if you're still watching the live stream. If you want this last spot, let me know. For those of you who are watching this live stream but not live, I will put a link in the video description to the graphic that I was referring to. I think she stepped away from the live stream. She's not responding. Give her another minute. Okay, Lousy is gonna take that last spot. Hey dude, thanks for coming.
Yo.
So those of you watching the live stream, I'm not going to be tanking this run. I'm going to be doing the puppy charming, so now you're going to be able to see what the outside group looks like from the player's perspective. Okay guys, so we are going to do it like I said before. We're doing the legendary, we're going to do it on legendary hard. It is identical in every way, just mobs have more hit points, they hit harder. We're going to be doing exactly the same method. Everything will be the same. In fact, does somebody, I should have copied it before I switched, but can somebody copy and paste the job assignments from last run into party chat, please? If you still have it up. Thank you. Okay, exactly the same jobs, except we have Lit 2 here. Who's going to fill in for...
I do believe you mispronounced my name.
I did. Sorry, Litwo. I was trying to be nice and actually say your name correctly because we're doing a TG rate.
Aww.
It just doesn't sound right anymore. So for those of you watching the live stream, I have this thing that I like to do where I mispronounce people's names, especially my guildies. And so, Lit 2 here, I've been calling him Litwo for years. And he's got this other tune named Lucifer, but it's spelled Lousypher. So I just call him Lousy. I've been calling him Lousy for like 7 years. It's just what I do. I think it's funny. Go ahead and step in, folks. Same thing as before, step in, don't move. Please try very hard not to like shoot something into the center, for example, which can aggro everything and bring it over to us. And that's like a false start. You get a penalty for that. What's nice about the Legendary is you don't have to run through the subterrain, so if things do go bad, you have a wipe or you false start or whatever, I mean, you could just start over, it doesn't take that long. But when you do the Heroic and you run through the subterrain, you know, you gotta run all the way back out. That's a pain in the butt if that one wipes. Okay, now I have lots of Bard songs to play, and then we're gonna do exactly the same thing we did in the Heroic. It's not gonna be a big blow off to kill these mobs though on Legendary Hard. In fact, the West team will have their work cut out for them, because I certainly don't provide a lot of DPS. Just got a few more songs. Ah, okay. Well, thanks anyway, Xena. Okay, same thing. East-West teams go. Bolo, you're on. All the way to your north corners. Kill the mind flayers, grab the control stones. And then you're going to turn around and go south after you get the control stone. So I've already got a spot in my hotbar, but otherwise you would just drag it from your inventory into your hotbar. said, I'll be the charmer for this run. Coming into charm. Treadway, let me get all my buffs off before you give me your stones. I'll let you know, okay? West team
Yep.
stays right here. And make sure you're watching the outside now and not ZZ. Target one of the dogs. You click on the stone. Target another dog. Click on the stone. Okay, everybody collapse and kill the third dog, please. Both teams collapse and kill the third dog. As soon as the third dog is dead, you're going to retake your positions. Okay, everybody resume your positions. East team at the end of the east hall, west team in the center.
Dog just ran to the outside.
Like I have a wand of bull strength or something.
We should run them into the middle.
If there's a dog on the outside, just kill it. Murray definitely should not be here. Yeah, just kill that. That's just the respawn. That one that was in the center. Just kill him off. The puppies have a lot more hit points in Legendary than they do in Heroic, and they're really not going to die by accident. I mean, they could die by accident, but it takes a lot of neglect for those dogs to die by accident. Remember, the center team is only fighting stuff that comes to them. And right now, you guys got your eye on the south hall, so your back is turned to the others, so you want to be very careful that you don't neglect those other halls, because like in that example right there, something could have come by you. So if trash comes in, just fight it right here in the center. That way, if it comes in from another direction, it'll aggro on you and not run by you into the ZZ team. Okay, Treadway, I'll take those charming stones now.
Thanks for res.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm watching the charm Command of Xoriat countdown. Got 25 seconds left on that one, 18 seconds left on that one. You know exactly when to recharm. So as you get the message for the halfway point, if you can see ZZ's hit points, it's 67,000 is the magic number. One dog recharmed. Second dog recharmed. Okay, the dogs are recharmed. We should just coast our way to the vulnerability point. Just keep defending your positions. So you want to watch the outer halls. You don't want to spend time like watching in there.
Beholder's up.
You don't want to pull stuff in. You don't want to range it in. If you see it running around the outside, you let it go, and it'll eventually run into the east team.
Beholder on the left.
That's the bigger team. See, we got a beholder coming in the center, but that's fine. Don't run out and meet it. Just let it come right to us. Whatever you do, though, don't drag it into the ZZ group. We got another beholder coming from the other way too. These is the 82,000, 67,000 is the vulnerability point. Another beholder coming from the other way. Just kind of hanging out there. You can range it.
72,000. 70,000.
Okay, there it is. She's vulnerable. Everybody ends easy. I get knocked down. Easy peasy. When it goes right, it's a piece of cake. Hey Sly, welcome buddy. Couple respawns of the puppies. No treasure bags in the legendary version. Lots of great armors that come from here. It's the same armors and shields that can come from Legendary Tempest Spine. The one different loot in here is the Rune Arm. I think that's the only difference between this and Legendary Tempest Spine. And the Rune Arm shoots bees. The different armors. Oh, by the way, the runes that you're going to get from here are just like the other legendary raids. You're going to use the runes, save them up to buy the raid loot from the quest giver. And the armors come in like each of the types of armors, like your light armor, your medium armor, your heavy armor, come in different varieties. So there's like a melee version, a tank version, a caster version. So if you're ever rolling on an armor, make sure it's the version that you want. Don't just assume that because it's light armor that's the one you want, for example. Or either like, you know, scale mail of the Avenger and scale mail of the Sage. Like there's the caster one, leathers of the Celestial Sage. And there's like leathers of the Celestial Avenger, leathers of the Celestial Archer, or whatever. The Devil's Defense, it's a large shield with a Mythic 2 on it. That's a pretty decent shield. D66, if anybody's got a large shield user here. Okay guys, that is all for Hound of Xoriat. Does anybody have any questions about the legendary or the heroic or the method that we used or the other methods? Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming. Don't forget to turn it in, and like I said, there will be another teaching raid next Saturday. I'll post details in the Sarlona forum, and you guys have a great night. Hell yeah, take care guys. Okay, folks watching the live stream, I'm going to shut things down. I'm going to watch the chat for about another 5 minutes. If there are any final questions, I will respond in chat. But I'm going to go ahead and shut down the live stream right now. Thanks for tuning in.